everyone. Welcome to Accessible Adventures. This is episode 3, part 2, Navigating Sensory Overload at Walt Disney World. Specifically, we're going to be talking about EPCOT and Animal Kingdom today. I'm Colwyn Dunlap, and my co-host over there is Miss Frances Wampler.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Should we tell them about the exciting thing we did this week?
We should.
So we were just invited to participate in the AMCSI Together Tuesday Facebook Live event. If you missed it, you missed out on a good time. So go find them on Facebook. I think we'll plug the link down below in the description. We appreciate Ani and her team having us. It was such a good time, just like talking about the podcast and answering some questions and then giving them kind of a preview on what's to come for Accessible Adventures. So it was such a great opportunity. Thanks to Ani and her team for having us. It was cool.
It was. I had a blast. We talked for like a full hour, which is not a big deal for us because every recording session we talk for an hour and then record. And then maybe talk for another hour. So, it's not uncommon for us to talk for at least an hour. But what was really wonderful about that scenario, and it's something that we could look forward to, and I think it's very beneficial for both organizations, us and them, is we kind of mentioned officially beginning
like building a partnership with them.
Partnership. We're wanting to build a partnership with them. It was actually Ani's idea. So over the next few days and maybe even the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be reaching out to Ani and her team and seeing what that would entail, and if we would get to if that would mean we would have an opportunity to make a special appearance somewhere.
Who knows? Maybe.
But no, that's a plug for you to do what you're supposed to do.
That was code for me.
That was code for you. That was a subtle segue. Transition.
I missed that. I missed that when you said it the first time. But I'm with you now. We're excited about building that relationship and partnership with AMCSI. If you haven't been plugged in with them, you can find them on social media. We'll put the link below. Arthrogryposis Multiplex Congenita Support Incorporated. So that's what all of those letters stand for. And their 19th annual conference is coming up this summer, July the 3rd through the 6th in Atlanta, Georgia. So registration is open now. We can plug the website down in the bio. And then I'm sure there are some posts on their Facebook as well. I do think that Ani mentioned during Together Tuesday that there are still a few ADA rooms available. So not sure if there is by the time this airs, but if you're interested in attending the conference, jump over there, get your registration done, and be sure to check out the hotel so you can try to snag a room or an accessible room if that's what you need. So I'm excited about the conference. I've actually never been to a conference.
Yeah, I've been to 2. And like I said in the previous episodes, the first time I went to Disney World was the first conference that I went to. And then the next one was in Kansas City. I haven't been to one since. So it's been, almost 15 years now.
Goodness.
Yeah. So I would love to go again because they're so much fun. They're so invaluable. Like the by that I mean the amount of value you get as an AMCer and as a family member or friend that comes to one of these conferences. You get so much out of it because you get to see other people, you get to see adults, you get to see children, babies. You can all kind of build community together and help each other out. Like that was the best thing that happened to me in that way whenever I was there, was I got to build a community of friends, and we talked to each other occasionally. It was really the next best thing for me since Camp Just Like Me, and that's saying something because Camp Just Like Me really helped mold me into who I am today, because I saw kids like you, Daniel, who was like a couple years older than me. He was a bit of a role model. It basically told me that I could be a role model for kids younger than me or people younger than me, and that what I do matters, And the same thing could be said for anybody that went to a summer camp and became a camp counselor later on, because Frances, you did the same thing with Just Like Me, right?
I did. I think, like you said, like Camp Just Like Me molded me into the person that I am today. After I graduated high school, they made you kind of pause for a year. So like your graduation year, you couldn't come back as a counselor. So it was that next year. And I think I went like 3 or 4 years as a counselor, before life got really busy with kids and careers and things. But those years that I spent there, there's nothing like it. Like the relationships that we built. I was going to say something similar to what you said about like it was just the next best thing to camp, but camp was where we built community. It's where you met other people that look like you. You met other people that had the same struggles as you did, and you could just run and have a good time and not worry about, well, somebody's going to look at me funny because I'm having to use this device or carry my tray a certain way or whatever. I just remember being astonished my first year, and I saw, he's probably going to kill me for talking about him, but Marcus. And I was just like, that boy has more courage than anybody I've ever met. Like he just did not, he was like a warrior. He was a champ. And I was just like, these are my people.
Yeah.
This is where I belong.
And, we had just mentioned this before we started recording. We were talking about it because I had just gotten off of a call with Marcus, who is going to probably be editing this video. He is very quickly becoming the first, I'm going to call it the first acquisition of Conquer Productions. So if you are doing this, if you are editing this, Marcus, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being you and always being you. You have been an inspiration for a lot of us, and you might not feel it, but it's true. And we've been an inspiration for you. I know that I've helped you out as a youngster. You also helped me out as a young teen, keep me young myself, and I just want to say thank you, Marcus, for that. And then I also want to thank Frances and anybody else that was there at Just Like Me. And then I especially want to say thank you to AMCSI for all that they do and have done for AMCers around the world. I just want to make that plug. I want to tell them that they are amazing and that we are forever grateful.
Why didn't we plan on tissues for this episode? This, like in pre-production, this wasn't part of the conversation. Didn't know we'd need tissues today.
No, it wasn't.
But I agree with you. Like those relationships that we built, even though we've kind of come in and out of each other's lives and communication, like the impressions are there for life. Like the connections are awesome. And you know what I think the viewers would want to see? It's a little sketchy, but the picture of young Camp Just Like Me.
I'll put it up.
Okay.
There. I'll put it up there.
It only took 3 episodes.
Hey, yeah, but I will point out like that. I'll point out Frances. You can't really make her out in that one very well. I think
it's a little blurry.
It's a little blurry. I think you're standing next to me. Marcus is between us.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, because I looked at that picture yesterday. I was like, we need to work our way into this. Just so you guys kind of get a little of a sense of where we came from and how we know each other more. And even looking at us as we were and where we've come, and how we look now. I'm
going to look at the picture while we're chatting, and I'm going to say, like, who everybody is.
I just got hairier and rounder. So that's all I'm going to say.
I would say you're a little more gray too. I'm just pointing out differences.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just pointing out differences.
Well, thanks. I know I'm old, but gosh.
So left to right, if you're looking at the photo, that's Savannah, and then Dakota, and then Colwyn, and then Marcus is between you and I, and then me. It's a little fuzzy. And then Daniel. So that's kind of the back row. And then left to right, there's like 3 of the cutest tiny little kids you've ever seen.
Yeah, true.
And we've got, let's see, let me scroll back this direction. We've got Jake, little Jake, and then Brendan. Rest in peace, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And then Casey. So I love
Was
this
Cody
picture.
not there?
So he might have been here, but he's not in this picture. Not in the one I'm looking at.
I thought he was there for the first one.
I don't think this was the first one. I think this particular photo is maybe the second one.
Because we all had the shirts.
We all have the shirt.
Yeah.
There was only one shirt our first year.
Mm-hmm.
So they had, each of the moms drew the stick figure of their kid on the shirt. I wish I had like the raw file from that so that we could have it, because I don't think that the hospital uses it anymore. No. You know, it's not Camp Just Like Me anymore. Camp Freedom or something like that. Yeah.
So what we're here to talk about today isn't just our experiences and our childhood and everything. We're here to talk about where to go when you're experiencing sensory overload in EPCOT and Animal Kingdom.
I love EPCOT. I think it's, I don't know, to me, that whole area, right? The World Showcase.
Yep.
So many places that you can go and hang out and relax. It's a good park. There's some specific places that we'll talk about that we like and that we recommend. And then we'll throw in some just kind of some random ones. I think EPCOT is kind of that park that you take a little bit slower. Magic Kingdom, I think you run. Hollywood Studios, I think you're like tight. Like you're running, but it's kind of like tight navigation because there's a lot going on.
You're living in a city whenever you're doing that.
If you want Magic Kingdom or Hollywood Studios, that's part 1. So be sure to check out episode 2, which is Navigating Sensory Overload Part 1. We're going to cover EPCOT and Animal Kingdom and the DAS Pass today.
The first on our notes that we wanted to talk about was the Morocco Pavilion, specifically the Fez House. It's designed to look like a typical Moroccan home, which is very like spacious and open, not sparse, because they have very elaborate decorations. That's one of the things I love about like Morocco and their whole thing. Which for those of you that are like, what's Morocco? What does that have to do with Disney? Aladdin is based in Morocco. Agrabah is based around Moroccan culture and stuff like that. So if you want a reference point, that's it right there. There are a few places, like a few benches and places to sit in there, but it's also just like I said, it's a great time to just sit down and take in all of the beautiful design work and architecture. And it's usually pretty calm. It can get full, but it's usually pretty calm, and people are just kind of wandering in and out because that's really all it is. You can just wander in and look around and leave, but you can stay there for a bit if you need to.
I think it's really easy to just like go with the flow of people and just kind of like walk through the pavilions. But if you actually kind of go back into them, usually there's some nice places to sit and relax, especially if you need just kind of a break from the quiet. So Morocco is one of them. It's beautiful, but there's not a ton kind of going on there in Morocco. And so people are just kind of passing through. So good opportunity to snag a place to hang out.
Yeah, I was like, the last time, this is a little bit of a controversial point that I wanted to make. So one of the other things that I really like about Morocco is they are the home of the hookah. Are you familiar with what a hookah is? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought that the Morocco Pavilion would be a perfect place for a little hookah bar for adults to sit in there and, have some hookah. I think that'd be an ideal thing. It would bring more people to the Morocco Pavilion, but it's also, tobacco, and Disney being what Disney is, I understand why they wouldn't want to do that. I just think that it would be great because it's also a big intrinsic thing within their own culture. And much like drinking is, that you still have that avenue of a vice, if you want to call it that, there. And drinks are practically in alcoholic drinks are in every one except, I think, the Morocco Pavilion. I don't think that there's any alcohol in the Morocco Pavilion area because there's not a lot there. You're just kind of wandering through this little Moroccan architecture, which is beautiful. But I just think that if they had something like that, it would give the Moroccan Pavilion a little bit more life. So Disney, if you're hearing it, consider that compromise. Josh Tomorrow, I'm talking to you.
Something to consider.
Yeah, Josh Tomorrow, I hope you're going to be the future CEO. Anyway, what? The next one that we were going to talk about was the Gardens in the UK Pavilion. You'll find a quiet place to relax in the back of the UK Pavilion, because up front you have, like, I think it's the Rose and Crown and the Chippy that's there. I never can remember what the Chippy's called. It's where you can buy all the fish and chips.
I want to say the Cooks of Dublin, but that is at Disney Springs.
That's at Disney Springs, yes.
My husband loves Rosencrown.
Yeah, that was something else that we want to go try because we've never been to Rosencrown yet. We were talking about it when we were there last. We got fish and chips and went and sat down around the benches, and there was a really cool, like, classic rock band performing in the gazebo there, which that happens sometimes. So if you like music, they have all kinds of music there. We enjoyed that, and we had our fish and chips, and then while Luna went to the restroom, I strolled around the garden there. There's a little maze you can kind of do. It's fun. That's a good place to let the kids run around if the parents are going through sensory overload and need to take a load off. So just, like, pop a squat on the bench and let the kids go crazy.
Just let them have that free time. And I know, like, for my son, the pressure of the ground can really kind of help him kind of chill, but that's hard to find a place on the ground to just, like, sprawl out, when there's people walking by. So that's a good area, next to the bench where they can be close, but they can spread out if they need that, or they can get some wiggles out through the maze and just run through there.
The last pavilion that I really want to talk about is my favorite pavilion in the entire park. And that's saying something.
This is news. This is news to me. I haven't heard this before.
Yeah, well, you've heard this before. You have, not necessarily anybody else, but I am a huge fan of the Canada Pavilion.
I love Canada Pavilion.
Yeah, it's so underrated. Like, the most people are like, oh, that's just where Le Cellier is, which I'm not. Le Cellier is my favorite restaurant in the world. Period. Anytime I go to Orlando, I'm not joking whenever I say this, I will pay for an EPCOT ticket just to go to Le Cellier if I absolutely have to. If all I'm doing is going to Le Cellier, what am I doing in Disney World at that point? But if that's all I'm doing is going to Le Cellier, I will pay the $100 and something to get in, and then go pay another $100 and something for a fantastic meal.
Yes,
it's worth it. That's all I can say.
The pretzel bread and cheddar cheese soup. Well, and obviously the steaks too, and the sides. Like, it's all lovely. We could have a whole series on just food.
So
at Disney.
And another little bit of a plug for Le Cellier. I heard, I'm not sure if this is true, but I've heard that Connections will be having an official cookbook of Le Cellier showing up in it. So I'm like, I don't know if that's true. That's a rumor. If that's the case, I need it.
Yeah, we have to be on the lookout. So the little shop there in Epcot called Connections.
Yeah. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about with the Canada Pavilion, one of the reasons why it's so great, is there's a waterfall there. And, it's almost always on. And for people that might get sensory overload from loud noises, that's not necessarily the best place. But if you're fine with static loud noises like me, yeah, that for me. I have been known to just stand there for a few minutes and just be at the waterfall, just watching it and enjoying it. And you go a little further in and you basically walk into a cave, and there you see, like, mining tools and stuff, and you can sit there. It's usually pretty cool in there because they keep it pretty dark. Even in the summertime, it was one of the best places that we went in to get away from the heat while we were at Epcot. And then we went to Canada Far and Wide. And that show, man, if you need something that will help your attitude out, just sit there or stand there. And I think even between the shows, if the theater is open, they might have the ambient forest 360 degrees around, so you just kind of feel like you're in the British Columbia forests. But man, that show is so good. They pipe in music. It's a show, but they also pipe in, like, pine smell and, like, all of that. When you're flying through the snowy bits of Canada, they pipe in the cold air. So it's just a really immersive thing, and it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. It's not your rambunctious, loud thing. It's about Canada, its history, its culture, and most of all, it's about how beautiful that country is. So I just want to plug the Canada Pavilion because I love it. I would live at that pavilion if I had the opportunity to. Another
pavilion that's not on our list, but it just kind of popped in my head, over there in Norway, is the Kringle Bakery. and you can get like Viking coffee. So I enjoy it in the morning. The stripy straw is the spiked version, just so everybody knows.
Green stripy straw.
Green stripy straw. But I don't know, I just really enjoy it. And right outside Kringle Bakery, there's some big rocks. I think there's some benches kind of in there. So not a huge pavilion. There's not like a ton of places to sit down because you've got like the Frozen ride over there, Frozen Ever After, and there are some shops. But Kringle Bakery, when you walk into the pavilion, is on your left. And there's a little bit of place to kind of hang out. You could get a treat.
Isn't
obviously
that also where like the stave style building is that has like Norse mythology stuff in it over there as well? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
It's right around the pavilion because that's one of the places that Luna and I like to go to because I love stave architecture as well. That's that's a Nordic architecture that has like dragons and stuff on the. So yeah, like medieval style.
Yeah, there's some cool little shops back in there.
Yeah.
If you like perfume, there's a little kind of kiosk in there where you can get perfume. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you can get some perfume. It's brought in from Norway. There's a guy, his name is Gearness. I met him. Mm-hmm. He's so nice. But my favorite perfume is there. It's called Layla.
Do they do colognes as well? Because one of my favorite colognes it's a neighbor to Norway, but it's actually a Danish cologne that's called Royal Copenhagen. I believe it's Danish because I know Copenhagen's in Denmark, but I believe it's actually a Danish company. So I might have to go check that out when we go to EPCOT next time. Because I love cologne.
Yeah. When you get off the Frozen ride, you kind of walk through that gift shop. And if you stay in it, I think it's all kind of connected. So the perfume is like way down at the end. Mm-hmm. It's not, I say way down. It's at the end. And then you exit.
The two rides or attractions that we would recommend for, kind of taking it easy would be Living with the Land. You can kind of ride this really slow moving boat around gardens and everything, and these gardens actually are what you eat at like Sunshine Seasons and various other restaurants in the Disney bubble. And a lot of the gardens in the Flower and Garden Festival are grown there. I think any of the flowers on the floats during the parades are from there. So you get to see where all of the foliage and stuff for Disney World kind of comes from there, and all of the veg that you eat comes from there as well. And then Pixar Film Festival, do you know where that is specifically? That's something I forgot to look up.
Pixar Film Festival, I haven't been, that I recall, over there. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
That was the one thing that I forgot to look up. Because Living with the Land is in the same building as Soarin' and, like I said, Sunshine Seasons and all that. So it's really easy to find. Pixar Film Festival is kind of, I think it might be over by the seas or something along those lines.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking too, it's probably kind of that hub area. You can meet some characters and there's that connection shop, and maybe it's over there, that film festival area where you can typically meet Pixar characters.
Yeah, the Pixar Film Festival is just a bunch of the shorter films that kind of preface or are before Pixar films. Like that's where I saw a couple of them. They show like 2 or 3 every time they do a showing. So it's like a 15-20 minute little event that you guys can sit down and watch. I highly recommend it. Any other spots in Epcot that you could think of other than just the whole park? Because the park has a lot of areas just in general you can sit down and take a load off.
Yeah, I think there are some interesting kind of pathways. If you're headed to the back towards the World Showcase, you can go straight back and then kind of cut around through the World Showcase, but there are also some kind of trails that kind of lead off to the side. It's a longer walk. I'm thinking of one in particular. If you're headed back there, it's kind of on the left. And it kind of looks like you're going out of your way. And you are, but if you need some space from the people around you, it's kind of a quieter little walk. There's a bathroom over there too, so you can kind of be out of the beating path, take a break, and then kind of keep going. We like it like in the rain because it's got a little bit of an overhang from like the building. So if it's raining, you can kind of hug that building and you don't get as wet. The kids really like the aquarium over by the seas with Nemo and friends. It can be a little crazy in there because everybody likes the aquarium. It's a bit loud, but outside, so there's a little gift shop, and then right outside the gift shop, there are some benches. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of a quiet place you can kind of hang out. The kids really like Turtle Talk, but again, it's kind of noisy and there's a lot of people there. So it kind of just depends on how the crowds are, but it would get you out of the sun.
Yeah.
If it was a hot day.
So shall we move on to Animal Kingdom then?
We should, because Animal Kingdom is my favorite.
Animal Kingdom is your favorite. It's probably my second favorite. Maybe tied, or very close to tied with EPCOT.
It's very close. I think the feel of the parks is really different.
Yes.
So it kind of depends on like what I'm going for.
Yeah.
For if I was like, this is where I want to go, but Pandora is my favorite area. So, you know.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like, I like Pandora. I love the movies. I like that we get involved, but Pandora can be a bit overwhelming for the amount of people that go there. So, I definitely can see how people with sensory overload issues would get that very quickly in Pandora. But there's really cool things that we'll talk about that you can do in Pandora to kind of alleviate that. But first, before we get there, I want to talk about some cool stuff that you can see and do on your way there and around the park in general. Whenever you first get into the park, I'm going to go ahead and say this. Go to the Oasis. Go to the Oasis. Spend some time walking through the park. Sure, if you really must get on Flight of Passage, rush over to Pandora, do that. But you need to come back to the Oasis and just walk around. You'll see a bunch of little animal exhibits. You can see flamingos in their somewhat natural environment. You'll learn about how silly flamingos are and how difficult they are to breed. That's one of the funniest story things that Disney likes to talk about there. You have some smaller mammals in these exhibits, but there's just some really cool fun places to sit around there, and you can watch the animals. Watching the animals at Animal Kingdom is almost as fun as watching the people at Animal Kingdom. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to make that statement. But there's also something that is attached to the Oasis that's really underrated, and that is the quote-unquote hidden rope bridge. Watch the waterfall. You can see it. You can see it by the waterfall. You go through it, and as you walk by, you can actually watch the waterfall, and it's just really fun. It's just really a beautiful thing to do. Take your time to do it. Don't rush in Animal Kingdom ever. It's not the park for rushing.
It's not. And I think one of the things with Animal Kingdom is like everybody's like, that's a smaller, shorter day. Yeah. But the thing about Animal Kingdom, it's so spread out. Mm-hmm. So you're going to want to rush to get there, but then you're going to be exhausted.
Yeah.
So take your time a little bit. Do a little bit more relaxing. There is probably less to do at Animal Kingdom compared to like Magic Kingdom as far as rides go.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's like the shows and the trails and, all the things. But just like take it a little slower. Disney is an undertaking. Yeah. You're going to be tired. Yeah. You're going to be tired. So take that opportunity to relax a little bit. It'll be fine.
Yeah, take an opportunity. Like we said, this is also one of the places where it's really cool. Like, I argue that the shows at Animal Kingdom are probably the best than anywhere else in Disney. That's a big statement. The drum shows, the guys that the African drums that randomly play over in the African area right over by the Lion King show, which is phenomenal. It's basically a smaller scale production, Broadway style of the Lion King, which I always love going to that. Tears.
It's so good.
Tears.
We could have a whole episode about the shows, I think.
Yeah, we could. But those are a couple of shows you can go to. I'm kind of bummed that the Wind Tales or Kite Tales or whatever, that show ended, because that was always fun to watch. That area is a good place to go sit down too, because it's not really being used right now. So it's generally empty. So where that was, I can't remember what the name of that. I think it might be like the Harambe Theater or something.
over by the market, Harambe Market.
Mm-hmm.
It's in that kind of same area, right?
Yeah, that place is a really good place to sit. But really, let's talk about the trails. The trails,
Yes.
whenever you get there, whenever you get to Animal Kingdom. Of course, the first trail that you would go to as soon as you get past the Oasis, the first and obvious one you see leads you up and inside of that big tree of life. You know,
I love the Tree of Life.
yeah, so do I. So do I. And one of the things that you should do as you walk up is look at it. Look at it closely and see if you can count all 400 of the animals that are on the tree or inside the trail. See if you can find the 2 hidden Mickeys that are in on that trail. One of them you can only see at a certain time of the year because it's built into the landscaping.
That's crazy cool.
Yeah, it's a shadow. It's a shadow of a Mickey head.
That's awesome. I'll have to look for that next time. I think everybody wants that good picture too with the tree in the background, and the trails are a good way to get a good picture without a ton of people in the background.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people, but there's not maybe as many as if you're taking the photo right once you come out and everybody's kind of hanging out watching the macaws fly and all that stuff in the early hours of the morning. Get on the trail. You're right at the base of the tree and you're going to get some good photos.
That's also another show you should definitely watch. Flighted Bird Friends or whatever. That one is so over. I love that show so much. I mean, Luna and I are huge like Animal Kingdom nerds. We're huge animal lovers. One of our favorite shows on Disney World was The Magic of Disney's Animal Kingdom, which I highly recommend. There's only 2 seasons of it. We want a 3rd one. Again, Disney, I'm talking to you. Give us more of that show. We aren't the only ones.
If you're listening.
Yeah. We aren't the only ones. Literally, last time we were there, we were talking to the bird people, and they were like, yeah, we loved doing that. It was a lot of fun. So we want more of that. We demand it. The other trails, the animal trails. It's the Maharaja first ones, the Maharaja Jungle Trek. That's where you can see like a lot of the Indian and Asian animals. My highlights were seeing Komodo dragons. Of course it was. You know, they were just lounging around, being lizards, being lounge lizards. And then toward the very end, they have tigers, because of course they do. And, you know, you got to have either, you know, like you got to have Raja. You got to have that. But then also one of the more underrated villains, Shere Khan, is there, you know, kind of represented there too. Which a lot of people are like, people forget Jungle Book. I don't know why. That one's really fun. And then that was, like, you could spend hours just kind of ambling around these trails. And that's kind of why they're there. Gorilla Falls Trail is where you see a bunch of the more African-style wildlife. There are a lot of gorillas, hence the name Gorilla Falls. You can watch them eat. You can watch them interact. We had a little fun, like, 5-second kerfuffle between a couple of the young males. It was literally a roar, growl, punch the ground, and then running away. It was just really fun to see. And we got to watch a mama gorilla eating and a baby nearby. It was so adorable.
Now, doesn't that one come out pretty close to, like, Cali River Rapids?
The Maharaja one does.
Yeah.
We should have. If you want to talk about your favorite
ride,
your favorite not getting wet ride, yeah.
Okay, so we have a debate.
I
don't want to take over your Gorilla Falls Trail though.
So the only thing that I would say is that the Gorilla Falls Trail is like the entrance and the exit are kind of by the safari, because you can actually kind of see a lot of the same animals on the safari at a distance as you can on the trail.
The safari is a must-do.
Absolutely.
Safari.
That's something that I wanted to also mention about the safari is do the safari as early as possible. That would be the only reason why I personally would rush through the Oasis. Not to get on Flight of Passage, but to go get on the safari and get over there and hear the lions bellow up close. because that's the only time of day that they really actually, like, truly bellow, is whenever they come out first thing in the morning. You know, they're the lions. They got to announce their presence. The king is here, the queen is here, or the queens are here. So they'll do their grunting and their bellowing. You can hear them out in the parking lot. Like, we legitimately heard them out in the parking lot one time. Luna was like, is that... Because we could hear it, like, between the songs. And she's like, are they playing, like, animal sounds, too? And I'm like, that's not... They are playing animal sounds, but that's not that. No, that's not that. So we heard that, and we ran over, and we tried to get on as early as we could, but we decided to be like everybody else and get on Flight of Passage first to get it out of the way. So
I mean, you can't get that ride out of the way.
Oh, you totally can. I mean, next time we're skipping it.
I heard.
Yeah.
I have heard this choice, and I wasn't consulted prior, but that's okay.
Yeah,
y'all are allowed to.
I mean, the only time that I would say that it would be a change of plan is if they incorporate more of the Way of Water into that ride. If they incorporated more of the Way of Water into that ride, we would be there in a heartbeat.
So, I haven't seen it yet.
What?
Oh, no.
I thought you loved Pandora.
I do. We're a little behind on our movie watching. We have 3 kids that live here, you know, and so...
They would love it. I mean, it's distinctly more about the adult, like, it's more about the kids.
I think the struggle is, like, their attention. So, like, my 15-year-old, he doesn't love, like, sitting through a movie, which I think is right up there with... Yeah, it's right up there with, like, ADHD and on the autism spectrum. Like, he just doesn't have enough focus. My middle son is getting there. Like, we're right in the middle of watching Lord of the Rings.
Good.
With him.
Yeah.
But he makes it about half the movie, which, in his defense, those movies are long.
Yes.
So they love Pandora. They have seen the first one. We just haven't made it to the second one.
I'm going to make a big statement that what both my wife and I agree upon. The Way of Water is better than the first movie.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
The Way of Water is better. It's a better story, and I would argue it's prettier than the first one. Back to Pandora. There's a lot of stuff to do in Pandora, not just Flight of Passage and the Navi River cruise or whatever. You know, there's a lot to do there. There are pathways that you can go down and sit. There's the drum, which you wanted to talk about the drum, right?
Yeah, so there are these areas where a lot of times during the day they've got like cast members out there that are, you know, doing some drumming or kind of whatever in that area. It's right before you get to the floating mountains. So kind of be on the lookout. It just looks like big rocks. We'll put a picture up here in a minute. But my kids just like kind of running around through there. It's another one of those areas, kind of like the maze that we talked about earlier. You can just kind of kick back, find a little rock to sit next to, let the kids do some drumming, and just kind of relax. I like the foliage and stuff too throughout Pandora. Like they try to kind of bring in those elements of Pandora into the parks. So it's just a really cool area of Animal Kingdom.
And if you're there at night, night and evening, it also glows.
Yes, we've been talking about our next trip, kind of going. We typically go early, right, to beat the crowds, but then by like early afternoon, we're tapped out, and so we're thinking about kind of doing it backwards this next time, where, you know, maybe we go a little bit later, or we take a break midday and then go back. I don't know. But yes, we love Pandora. It's just kind of a nice, relaxing day compared to like running on the other parks.
Yeah. And you can spend a lot of time in Pandora, like immediately after Flight of Passage. You can get, you know, go to Pongu Pongu or over to Satuli Canteen and get a drink or go get a hamburger pod if you want, or any other things, you know.
Get a night blossom from Pongu Pongu and then mobile order some burger pods and find a shady spot and chill.
Now, something that I want to say about the burger pods is as somebody that loves to eat finger food, and finger food is actually the easiest for me to eat, and as a like hamburger lover, the hamburger pods are very easy for me to eat. So if you have the same, if you have AMC or a similar, like, your hands need to be able to hold it better. You don't do well with utensils. Burger pods are a great thing to have right there. They're a little on the expensive side, but they're good. They're good.
I think I have a photo of the plate. I can't remember how much it cost. I want to say like $12 to $15.
Yeah.
And I think you get 2 of the pods and some chips.
Yeah, you get some coleslaw or something along those lines, with the little pearls sprinkled on it that were on the night blossom. 2 pods and some multicolored potato chips.
It's really good. I mean, for a quick service, if you're on the dining plan, I believe that would qualify as
I looked it up.
Like an adult meal credit. I think the kids one also has burger pods, but I think you get like 1 with your 2 sides and then your drink. So we could probably have a whole conversation about the dining plan and restaurants.
Yeah.
So another good topic to add to our list: how accessible is the food?
Right.
And being able to kind of go through the lines. Yeah. Future episodes to come. Let us know if y'all want to hear about the food in the comments.
And at anywhere like that is a tourist attraction that we would like regularly go to, i.e. Disney Springs would be another one. City Walk would be another one. City Walk at Universal. Yep. I've only eaten at a couple of places at City Walk, but we walked around the entire area. Don't get me started about Toothsome Chocolate Emporium. I will talk about that place for hours. Some of the best chocolate I've ever eaten in my life.
But sounds like we have to have a food episode.
We do. It's already announced.
It's announced. We don't know what
when.
episode.
Yeah, we don't know when, but it's coming.
It's coming. We're going to add it to the list. Before we conclude talking about Animal Kingdom, and we'll cover rides, I feel like, in a whole nother probably couple of episodes.
Yeah.
But we kind of skimmed over Cali River. And I'm just saying, when you're on the trail, you got to start or end at Cali River Rapids. Colwyn says it doesn't get you wet enough.
It doesn't.
No.
That's not a good water ride. It's a good ride. It's a good ride, but it's not a good water ride.
I think it gets you wet enough. So we're going to let you decide.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
She's going to post a picture. Yeah, and I wish I had a photo of what I consider to be the best water ride in the Orlando area, but I don't know that we actually have any photos, because when we got off of this one in Orlando, we rode it twice, and both times, like, completely soaked. Like,
that's crazy.
I'm not talking like you just stepped out of the shower soaked. I'm talking about like you just got out of the pool soaked. And you're fully dressed out of the pool soaked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
You'll have to look and see if you can find it.
I'll have to look and see if I can find it. If not, next time I go to Universal, I will make sure. Like, they guarantee you. They say you will get wet, and it's in big bold letters getting up to that ride. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Not like on Cali River rides where it's like, you might get wet. Yeah.
So, the fans need to tell us in the comments. Picture above. Does Cali River get you wet enough? Let's do it. If you think the other ride gets you more wet, put that in the comments and let us know. What do you think? So, anything else about Animal Kingdom?
Not really. No. I mean, we covered it. Again, we're going to have to do rides and compare them. The only one that I haven't been on that is on my bucket list of things to do at Animal Kingdom is Expedition Everest, which you've told me you've been on that one, right? Yeah.
I have.
And I mean, I love roller coasters. Luna's a little nervous about it, but I would love to do it. I also love Bigfoot and Yeti things. So whenever we talk about that, I'll have to wear my Bigfoot shirt.
So the first time I rode Expedition Everest, I was really nervous. It was me and my husband because our kids were too small.
Uh-huh.
And the cast member that's standing there, she's like, "Have you been on Splash Mountain?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Their drop is way bigger than ours. So you'll be fine."
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Their drop is way bigger than ours, but are you going that fast? Yeah. Yeah. That's the question you should ask. Or, the point you should make.
Yeah. No, she left that part out.
Yeah.
That part out. So we finished the ride, and I like had lost my voice a little bit. Because I screamed so loud. And I said, "I think she lied to me."
Yeah.
I think she lied to me. So I would not say that's a good comparison. Splash Mountain or Tiana's Bayou Adventure.
As it will be soon.
As it will be soon. And Expedition Everest.
Yeah.
I would not put those in the same category. I would put it closer to Rock and Roller Coaster, but I guarantee I feel like Rock and Roller Coaster is faster.
Oh, it is. It is. I know it is.
Yeah. It's faster, but it's in that same vein, I think.
Mm-hmm. What about Space Mountain?
But I love it. I haven't done Space Mountain.
I mean, I did the first time I went, but I haven't gone the last 2 times, or the last time that I went to Magic Kingdom with Luna. But I went the first time that I went, and it was fun. The problem with Space Mountain is that it's so dark. Again, we're talking about rides when we need to save that for another episode, because somebody over there needs to talk about the DAS Pass. Yeah.
Yes. So we will table the conversation of rides and not give Frances a hard time about not doing Space Mountain.
Yeah.
And we will
not yet.
Talking about the DAS.
October.
Yes. October. So the DAS Pass is Disney's Disability Access Services Pass. So you do not qualify for the DAS Pass for mobility concerns. So I just want to make sure people kind of understand that up front. If you're, on a scooter or you need additional time to get kind of in and out of rides, that would not qualify you for the DAS Pass. The DAS Pass is for guests who have difficulty, again, outside of mobility, tolerating those extended waits in those kind of conventional queues due to a disability. So thinking about, children with sensory needs, adults with sensory needs, those children maybe on the autism spectrum, children or adults. And you do have to register for the DAS Pass. You can do that up to 30 days prior to arrival or 2 days prior to arrival online. So there's a pre-arrival chat. We'll put the link to learn more about the DAS Pass in our kind of notes about this episode. But you can do that chat. I recommend getting on there first thing in the morning. It does kind of take a while to get with a cast member. Make sure you have the My Disney Experience app either loaded on your phone if you're going to kind of be walking around that day, or pull it up on your laptop because you do kind of have to wait for your turn. And then the chat, you'll chat with a cast member and then it'll turn into a video conversation. You do need the individual who is getting the DAS Pass to be present because they will take their picture. Once you're approved, they'll take their picture. And then during that chat, you'll also be able to work with that cast member to book up to 2 1-hour return times for select experiences for each kind of park day that you're going to be there. You can also, if all of that sounds like too much work, you can also go to guest relations on your first day at a park and do it that way, and then you're set for the rest of the time. You just don't have those advanced return windows. So you might be thinking, what is the DAS Pass? How does it help me? What does it do? So you're still going to be waiting, right? And it's all about the wait times. So if Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is a 30-minute wait on your My Disney Experience app while you're at the parks, you will select a return time. So it will be about 30 minutes. Sometimes it's a couple minutes less than the posted return time just because the times fluctuate so much. But it'll give you a return window starting in 30 minutes and it'll give you an hour. So if the wait is 30 minutes, you can come back anytime after 30 minutes for the next hour. So instead of waiting in the queue, you can find one of these quiet places like we've been talking about, to take a break. Maybe you can grab some lunch, take a bathroom break with your crew, and just kind of get ready for your next ride. Your individual that has the DAS pass will scan in at the Lightning Lane entrance. They do need to be first. They'll scan their magic band, and then they can take 5 guests with them. Make sure that you select each person in your party on your My Disney Experience app when you are booking your return time window. And you can only do one at a time, except for those 2 that you make in advance with the cast member. So if those are in the afternoon, you can book as many as you need to throughout the morning, but you can just kind of carry one at a time. So once you've gone on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, when you get off, you can look for the next ride. Say you're headed to Haunted Mansion. Depending on how long the wait is, you'll select your return time window, and then you'll be able to wait wherever you feel the most comfortable, and then go in through the Lightning Lane entrance. Does all that make sense? Did I cover everything?
I think you did. Now, one question that I did have about that is, do you know of any accommodations similar to the DAS Pass that are for people with mobility issues?
Disney's gotten really good about creating these new rides that are accessible. So, for instance, Frozen Ever After, there are no stairs. Mm-hmm. So you can take your ECV or wheelchair all the way up to the actual ride. There are some of the older rides, like Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, mm-hmm. or what used to be Splash Mountain. There are stairs in the queue. So you will enter through the exit instead of kind of waiting in line or going through the Lightning Lane entrance.
I'm wondering if they fixed that whenever they redid Tiana. You know, that they might have. I'm curious.
They may.
Because if it opens in June, by the time we go, I'll let y'all know, because that's the main reason why we would want to go to Magic Kingdom. So
yeah,
we'll
have to check it out.
But yeah, I'll check it out and I'll get back to you guys.
Yeah. So I think we could talk a lot about mobility, mm-hmm. Accommodations. Another ride that comes to mind is the Tower of Terror. Mm-hmm. The queue is really thin, so you do have to transfer out of your ECV or into one of their wheelchairs, but they mm-hmm. provide them. So you would park kind of right outside, hop in one of their collapsible wheelchairs, mm-hmm. and then you could take that through all the way to the elevator where you're going to ride. So again, we could talk about accessibility accommodations at the rides.
Mm-hmm. And
for a long time.
For a long time. The main reason that I brought that up was because I was remembering the first time that I went, and we all talk about the glory of the Fast Pass, and that basically if you have a disability, you would basically get a Fast Pass automatically, so that you can basically do what's the equivalent of the Lightning Lane is now. I'm not certain that will ever change. I don't see it changing anytime soon, because Lightning Lanes can now only be accessed through Disney Plus or Disney Genie Plus, or they're the special rides that you can buy.
Mm-hmm. Or with the DAS Pass.
Yeah, or with the DAS Pass. But for mm-hmm. Those of us that are mobility exclusive, in that way, yeah. The only way to do it is to fork over more money to Disney and get Lightning Lanes for only one ride at a time. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're bringing more than one, or you yourself are going there and you're concerned that you don't want to stand in a long line for an extended period. For instance, me, I can't stand in a long line for long. I mean, I can and I do, because I have to. Would I rather not do that? Sure. The only downside that I see in that is not being able to experience amazing queues like the Fullness of Pandora. Mm-hmm. Or even Peter Pan's Flight. You don't get all of Peter Pan's Flight that way.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these queues that have really cool elements to them. You would miss all of Frozen Ever After, or a huge chunk of it, if you did that. The Lightning Lane. Yeah. I remember looking at the Lightning Lane and seeing that you barely go through the little full village of Arendelle there on mm-hmm. the Lightning Lane. So you don't get a lot of that immersion. sure, that's a trade-off for getting on the ride faster, but
Right.
What's the catch here? Do you want to be able to ride all of the rides, or do you want to be able to actually walk out of Disney not being 1,000,000,000% exhausted, and in a lot of our cases, in extreme pain, because you've been on your feet all day. And for me, my feet and ankles are reconstructed, so that puts me even more debilitated the next day.
I think that too, it would be good for us to talk about some of those tips and tricks that we have related to mobility. I take my scooter. Could I walk the day? Sure. Would I be 1,000,000,000% exhausted and then pay for it the next day? I absolutely would. And so I'd rather utilize that support during the trip so that I'm enjoying that time and keeping up with the kids and with my family. And so that makes it easier for me. Not everybody's going to go that route, and that's okay.
I don't.
But those are the things that work for me. So maybe, again, future episode, how do we handle mobility through the Disney parks?
Maybe that'll be the next couple episodes, is mobility in Disney. Ooh, who knows? That could be it. Navigating mobility at Walt Disney World. Yeah,
we keep on getting all of these good ideas.
Yeah,
throughout the conversations.
We'll see what happens. So
we shall.
Yeah, and this has been a really good episode. It's been a bit longer, but it's all valuable information, and it's also just fun to chat with you guys, and y'all get a little bit of our candor, with each other here. So
little banter.
Yeah, a little banter and everything, and you're welcome.
Well, we appreciate y'all being with us today. In closing, we certainly want to hear from you. Was this beneficial information? Did we miss anything? And do you have questions? Please leave it in the comments or reach out to us via email at accessibleadventurespod@gmail.com. We're still kind of working on how do we continue to build community with you all. So if you have thoughts about Facebook or Instagram and if we should build those communities, we'd love to hear that from you as well.
Or TikTok, either in the comments, 16,000 followers.
Or TikTok.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments or via email if that's something that you would be interested in. If you missed anything from the other episode about Magic Kingdom and Hollywood Studios, be sure to check out Navigating. I don't know why I can't keep
Take 5.
Navigating. Be sure to check out part 1. Episode
Navigating
2.
Sensory Overload at Walt Disney World, part 1.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That one. That was episode 2 that aired last Saturday. And we will continue to work up episodes that we'll post at 4 p.m. Standard Time.
Central.
On Saturdays.
Yeah.
Central Standard Time.
Yeah.
4 p.m. on Saturdays. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Leave us your questions, comments, or concerns for Colwyn below, or send them to us via email.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. See y'all later.
See you next Saturday. Bye.